Hey, Jake. Hey, it's Kennedy. Yeah. So listen, I was thinking, I know we talked about the whole Big Ram persona and trying to bring that to the channel. My one biggest concern is I don't know if the nation is ready for Big Ram yet. Well, let's be honest. Big Ram swears like a sailor, fucking drinks like a fish, and just kind of says whatever's on his mind. Yeah, maybe you are right. Maybe they are ready for Big Ram. I don't know. Well, let's play it by ear and we'll kind of see how it goes. Sound good? Perfect. Okay. I'll talk to you later, kid. All right. Bye. Oh, now that that's out of the way. How's it going, Headliner Nation? Chris Kennedy here with you with the Fantasy Headliners. And I don't want you to worry about that guy you saw a little bit earlier. He may or may not be making some more appearances in future videos. If you did like Big Rem, though, leave a comment down below. Also, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, doing everything that you possibly can to support the Fantasy Headliners. So if you liked Big Rem, maybe we'll get him back in a few more videos before the end of the season. Now we're going into week 14, and for a lot of you means your fantasy football playoffs have started, whether you have a bye week or not. And for others, like myself in a few leagues, it means that, well, your fantasy football season is over. But with that being said, that's where DFS comes in. With DFS, it is season long from weeks 1 all the way through the playoffs, and it's a week by week contest. So you don't have to worry about not making the playoffs or not. With DFS, you still have an opportunity to make some money. And over at the Fantasy Headliners, we do offer an MVP Patreon package for $20 a month where you get exclusive access to all of my DFS content for the remainder of the NFL season. I also do golf, and I will be starting up the NBA once that kicks off at the end of December. So make sure you're heading over to the Fantasy Headliners, click on the Patreon link, and subscribe to that MVP package. Because not only do you get access to all the DFS content, you get access to exclusive articles, podcasts, a special link to our Discord channel where you can chat with all of the other MVP members of Headliner Nation as well. And you get a lot of really great access to content you normally wouldn't have access to, especially outside of YouTube. So that's my spiel with everything that just went on. Let's get into the picks for this week. This week right now, what I'm going to do is give you guys a couple of picks at each position. I'm going to give you a higher price pick and then also a not as safe, cheaper option, but it'll certainly help you to spend up in different areas. So starting off at quarterback, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. He's the second highest priced quarterback on the main slate at $7,900, but he's going up against the New York Jets. The Jets are allowing a 70% completion rate, a touchdown rate of about 5.5 to opposing quarterbacks, and they're also allowing 300 passing yards and 23 fantasy points every single game to opposing quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, I know he hasn't really looked the same over these past few weeks, but I do think that this opportunity here this week against the Jets, it's a great bounce back shot for him, especially the way that he's been playing as a whole throughout the season. He's got a 71% completion percentage, a touchdown rate himself of just over 7, and he's averaging 27 DraftKings points a week. So with Russell Wilson at 7,900, he's definitely the one quarterback that I'm willing to pay up for that can return immediate value. Going for the cheaper option, and again, this is something if you're playing large tournaments where the payout might be the top 25, 30%, and you really are kind of hoping on a long shot. And that long shot this week is Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Mike Glennon. He's priced at only $5,100 this week, and he's going up against a Tennessee defense that does allow 283 passing yards per game and 23 fantasy points per game as well. So they have a bottom 3 defense in the league when it comes to the pass, and I think at $5,100, Mike Glennon could make a lot of sense, especially if you're planning on playing a lot of lineups. He's someone that you can certainly plug into 1 or 2 and not really have to worry about, kind of breaking the bank or spending down too much at other positions. So going over to running back here, the guy that I'm willing to pay up for this week is Aaron Jones. He had a breakout game last week. He had that long touchdown run that was super fun to watch. And this week, he's $7,600 going up against the Detroit Lions. The one thing I love about this matchup is that there should be plenty of scoring opportunities for the Packers. Their implied total this week is just over 31. The Lions are giving up about 112 rushing yards per game and 49 receiving yards per game to opposing running backs. They're also allowing 34 fantasy points to opposing running backs as well. And I know that Aaron Jones isn't seeing 20, 22 touches a game. He's just under 19, and he's only seeing about 57% of the snaps, but it's what he's doing with the time that he's on the field that really makes a difference. At this price point at 7,600, I think he's a great value. He's someone you don't have to spend up to the top option, and he has a great matchup against the Lions. So Aaron Jones, 7,600 is my top play at running back this week. Going down a bit further is a guy who, well, unfortunately was kind of shoved into the starting role due to an injury to the starting running back of Washington, and this is J.D. McKissic of the Washington football team, only $4,900. Now, I know he's going up against the 49ers defense, who has played very, very well this year. They're not allowing a ton of rushing yards per game, only about 72, maybe about 37 receiving yards per game. But the one thing with J.D. McKissic in this matchup is that the Washington team is going to be playing from behind most likely for the majority of the matchup, which means McKissic's going to be involved in the passing game quite a bit. And he has 56 receptions this year so far. That's second highest out of all running backs, out of all main slate eligible running back positions so far. So at 56 receptions, he's someone that isn't going to be game script dependent. He's someone that's really going to be used from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, regardless of what the score is going to be. So at 4,900, that's great value, and he doesn't have to get a ton of points to return that value to you. Going over to wide receiver this week, DK Metcalf. He absolutely torched Darius Slay a couple of weeks back, but then this past week, he met up against James Bradberry, who gave him a much tougher matchup. This week, though, he doesn't have to worry about that because, as I mentioned with Russell Wilson earlier, DK Metcalf is going up against the New York Jets. The Jets are allowing 46 fantasy points per game to wide receivers as a whole, and Metcalf is one of the few wide receivers that's seeing over 90% of the snaps. So someone that's on the field as much as he is, I think it's a great sign for him. And I understand people might be worried about Tyler Lockett kind of getting into the mix. But the one thing I love about his matchup this week is he's going up against Lamar Jackson. No, not that Lamar Jackson, the Jets cornerback Lamar Jackson, who he's only been targeted about 34 times this year, but he's allowing 11 yards per target, 5 total touchdowns, and a catch rate of 71%. So that's a matchup there that I absolutely love. DK Metcalf's the third highest priced wide receiver, so he is going to save you almost $1,000 from spending down from somebody like a Devontae Adams. So going down a lot farther, it's going to be at $3,500, Darnell Mooney of the Chicago Bears. So far this season, he's shown that he has been the Bears' number 2 receiver. Doesn't matter if Nick Foles is the quarterback or if Mitchell Trubisky is the quarterback, Darnell Mooney has been the number 2 guy for them. And going up against a Houston secondary that has been absolutely dreadful this year, allowing 44 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. Now, I understand the Bears and their offense, it might not be the sexiest pick, but again, it's only $3,500 right now, and you're going to be paying almost bare minimum for this receiver. Another thing I like about him is also his cornerback matchup that he has against Phillip Gaines of the Houston Texans. Now, Gaines has only been targeted 25 times this year, but he's allowing almost 11 yards per target. 5 total touchdowns is what he's allowed on 25 targets, and he's also allowed a catch rate of 72%. So again, at this price point for Darnell Mooney, he's someone that you can plug in, not worry about the price, doesn't need a lot of value to return, and he can still get you there and help you to really spend up at other positions. So finally, we're going to end things, at tight end. And this is somebody who I wasn't as high on last week, and he definitely proved me wrong because I thought that it was going to take Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback to really give him the value that we needed. Well, Mike Gesicki, it doesn't matter if it's Fitzpatrick or if it's Tua, Mike Gesicki is going to be a target monster, I believe, for the rest of the year. He had double-digit targets and caught a touchdown last week, and this week he's going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs should be leading this game for the majority of the time, which just means great news for Gesicki because he's going to need to be targeted in order for that offense to be rolling. Now, the Chiefs don't allow a ton of touchdowns. They allow 5 touchdowns all season long to opposing tight ends, but they do allow about 56 receiving yards. And at $4,500, he's almost $3,000 less than top price tight end Travis Kelce. Now, I get it. Travis Kelce and Darren Waller are the clear-cut options for DFS, for season long, whatever it may be. But I want to give you guys something that may not be as clear-cut in case you wanted to go a different direction. So after Mike Gesicki, we're going to move down a little bit in the price point to $3,500. We're going to go with Dalton Schultz of the Dallas Cowboys. He's facing a Bengals defense that's allowing 69 receiving yards per game to tight ends, which is one of the highest among the league. And they've also allowed 7 receiving touchdowns to tight ends this year as well. One thing I love about Schultz is after the big 3 receivers of Lamb, Cooper, and Michael Gallup, Schultz is the next most targeted Cowboy on that team. This should certainly be a back and forth game. Both teams are not very good. I do expect the Cowboys to win. They've got an implied total of about 23, 24 points. So there should be enough scoring opportunities for Dalton Schultz to really hit value at his low price point of $3,500. That's all I got for you guys for week 14. If you made your fantasy playoffs, congratulations. Best of luck to you for the rest of the way. We here at the Fantasy Headliners are going to be here to help you out every single week. And if you didn't make the playoffs, we're on to 2021. Have a great day, guys.